When he was born, he was a cute, chubby thing. And he had these bright eyes, and his hair was a combination between his father's blonde and his mother's bright red. It was kind of an orangish color. And he was just a chubby little thing, he was. And it was the baby fat that would eventually go away. That's what they said. It never quite did. And from the time he was born, his parents would put clothes upon clothes like my father did for my own son. He would put everything on him. And they had the finest of things because it was the king and the queen of the great kingdom. And they could afford to buy him whatever he wanted. And so they did. And he would put on a different outfit. And so every day, for every different thing he did in his day, no matter how long his day or short it was, he would find something different to wear. And when he would eat hamburgers, he wore one kind of thing. And when he ate pizza, he wore another. And every now and then, he would eat off of fancy things and put chicken McNuggets in them. And he would eat those too. But he always had a different outfit whenever he wore anything. So by the time that he became king, after his father had died and his mother had died, and he had his own queen, and they had 3 children that were soon to be leaving the house, he had gotten to the point where he needed to have around him many, many people that agreed to everything he said. And that he particularly needed people around him that told him how good he was at all the times. And in order to do that, he would change clothes regularly. And he would go out in front of people. And they would say things like, "Oh, sir, that is marvelous. Sir, that is divine. Oh, sir, we should all have that. We should all have that." And that's how it was. And every day he would wear something for breakfast, change his clothes, come for lunch, change his clothes, come for dinner, change his clothes, have a good outing, change his clothes. Until eventually, the people that were the tailors for himself, they said they had no more ideas. So he sent out a proclamation and said, "I will stop all government until I get the right kind of clothes. I want new clothes every day." So people went out trying to find new clothes because everything else had stopped. The people couldn't get things that they needed because he wanted clothes, new clothes every day. Eventually, it seemed like there was no hope until they came. They were rascals, scoundrels, hooligans, scallywags. The 3 of them came to the door. They came to the door of the gate of the castle, and they said, "Oh, we'd like to speak to the king." "Why would you want to speak to the king?" We are tailors." Well, the knight that was there looked him up and down. They did not look like any tailors that he had seen, but he was not about to stop some tailors from going inside. They said, "Go on in." So they went in and they found their way, ushered into the front where the king was, and they bowed. "Oh, sir." Oh, yes, they bowed. For you know, they were rascals, scoundrels, hooligans, scallywags. Sir, we are delighted to be able to come before you, for we desire to make you a fine, fine outfit, an outfit that will make you wiser than anything, and you will not even have to read very much. "I would like this. What is this that you can make me that is different than anybody else?" "Oh, sir, what we will make you is an invisible suit of clothes. And the only ones that can see it are those that are wise in your kingdom." You do want to know who is wise, do you not? "Oh, yes, I do. I do want to know who is wise. You will make this for me, will you?" Yes, we will. But we will need some things." "What will you need?" We will need a house that will be far enough away where no one will disturb us for 3 months." "You have it." "And we will need a weave, a loom, yes. We will need that, and we will need the proper sewing utensils." "You have that." "Yes. And we need bags and bags and bags of money." "You have that." And so they were given everything they wanted. And those men went down. You do remember what they are, do you not? Rascals, scoundrels, hooligans. Isn't that a great word? And so they they went down and they immediately went inside and they barred the front door and they took the bags of money and they went out the back and had a great time. And about 3 months later, they came back to the house and they just kind of waited. Finally, the king said to the prime minister, "Go down and see where my suit is." "Yes, sir, I shall go see where your suit is." And so the prime minister came down, he knocked on the door. "Who is it?" "It is the prime minister. I've come to check on the king's clothes." Oh, one moment. And so right then they took some water, they popped it onto their face and they put it underneath their arms and they put it in proper places so that it looked like they were working hard. One of the men went to the loom and pretended to work the loom. And the other sat slowly sewing with the needle. And he came to the door. "Good day, sir. Please come in. We want you to see the clothes. See," and he brought the prime minister over to the loom. "See that fine fabric that we are using." Now, the prime minister didn't see anything, but he knew that only the wise didn't see what was there. And he knew he was wise because he was working for the king. And so he said, certainly is like nothing I've ever seen before." "Yes, it is, sir." "And look, see how he does the fine stitch." And the one doing the stitch wiped away some sweat. Yes, it is the finest I've ever seen. It is so light, it is almost invisible." "That is the point." "When will you be ready? I must take this back to the king." "Oh, we shall bring it tomorrow." The prime minister left, shaking his head, wondering about his own sanity, and should he be working for that king. But he went back and reported to the king all that he had seen, and he told him he would be back tomorrow. And so they worked in that home. The next day, those three men, you remember who they are, don't you? Rascals, scoundrels, hooligans. Oh, yes. They came back up. They went and they had their arms loaded. It seemed loaded with clothes in their hands as they walked over to the gate. They came up to the gate and they said, "We have come to see the king. Hurry now, these are heavy." Okay. And so, because the knight had been furloughed, he wasn't working without pay and was thrilled to see something new was going to happen at the palace. He quickly opened the door and said, "Go on in." And they walked in. Inside of the palace, the king had gathered everyone in his entire administration, all 25 of them. And they were gathered there, lords and ladies, ladies, duchesses and dukes, and others all about. His wife, the queen, was seated beside him, and their three daughters, their one daughter and their two boys, and the other one who doesn't always come out. But they all were there, gathered around they were. And they waited. They came in, and they bowed. "Good sir, it is with great joy that we present your kingly suit." Yes. The king did not see anything, but he knew he was wise. Something was there. He would not have said that as a promise if there was not. Yes, it's very nice. Please put it in my room. Thank you. "Sir, we cannot put this in your room. We must fit it upon you and see if there are places we must sew." "Oh, right now? In your room, sir, now." "Well, yes, I shall return." And so he led the way with his page boy into his own private quarters. "If you wouldn't mind, sir, if you would please take off all of your clothes." And the king proceeded to do so, leaving his underwear on. "Sir, we made you underwear as well. Okay. And so he took that off also. And then the three men began to hover around him. They would pick up something from the pile and they would put it on. Oh, lift your leg, please. Lift your leg. There you are. Yes, yes, yes. And the other. Oh, a little tight there. Could you sew that part? Yes, indeed. All right. And now your shirt. Yes, put your arms out, sir. Oh, yes, very nicely done. Oh, button it up. Yes, sir. No, we'll take care of the buttons for you, sir. No, it will take some time for you to see where they are and such. And it will come with time and such. Oh, yes. Now we shall have. And they put upon him his clothes. They put upon him the fine underwear and the long shirt and the pants that went up to his knees and down to his knees and the shirt, the large shirt upon it and a vest that came over top of it and some flouncy pretty things right there and a long robe behind him. It was a fine thing. And by the time they finished, they showed him to the mirror. And when he looked in, he said, "Now that is a fine suit." He loved it. And he said, "You all have done quite well. I have left some bags of money for you there. Please come back in with me, and we shall show everyone. Oh, sir, we do not wish to take away from your glory. We will be on our way." And so as the king went out towards the front to his audience, the scallywags made their way out the back door as quickly as possible, never to be heard again in some other foreign country by some man name of R in the beginning. And so they made their way gone, and the king walked out. There was a great intake of breath when he showed himself. He first went to the front of his wife and he said, "My dear, what do you think?" I was not expecting to see that much today. Or not in a while. It takes my breath away. I must leave. And she got up and left. He turned to his children and said, "Children, is not your father magnificent? We have never seen anything like that before. It is more than we could ever imagine. We never thought it would ever come in front of our eyes. We must go help our mother." And they left. He turned to the audience and he said, "And you, good people, what do you say?" There was a moment of silence. And then it began. "Oh, sir, that is the finest of all the suits you have ever worn before. You should wear it every day." "Oh, yes, sir. I do believe all the men in the kingdom need a suit like that. Would you give one to my husband, please?" Oh, sir, if anyone looked like you in a suit like that, we would never want any of them, we would never expect them to be king, for you are the only one that can be kingly like that king." And yes, sir. Oh, they praised him. And then the knight came to the door. He opened the door. He went, "The people have heard that the government will open now that you have your suit, and they would like for you to show them the suit." "Sir, of course I will." The people parted, all gazing with longing upon his magnificence. Or not so much. He did have small hands. And he began to go outside, his page boy behind him lifting up the what is that thing called on the back? The train. The train. That's my part of the story. Lifting up the train that the page boy had to figure out where it was. And he walked out. And as he walked, that first look did the same as inside, and everybody went, "Oh!" Okay, now see, this is the part of the story where you're supposed to be working with me, and y'all did not catch that. So I'm gonna try that again. Okay. So they walked out, and everybody's first response was, "Exactly what I was thinking." But as he began to walk All the people knew. They knew that if they did not see this suit upon him, they were not wise, and all of them wanted to be wise. They wanted to be what the king thought was important, and so they said, "Oh, sir, there's been nothing like that ever, sir. You are the only one that has that on you at all. Oh, sir, I do believe that more men need to wear that every day. Could you, sir, make sure the men in the field have that?" Oh, they all called out great praises. But there was a little boy. He was just a little boy. He wasn't very tall, but he wanted to see the king's suit too. And he wasn't very tall, so he couldn't go. See, he went down under people's legs and around people's arms and through people's all around and up until he got to the front. And he waited for the king to come by. The king is naked. The king is naked. Right then the father found the boy, lifted the boy up. "Oh, sorry, sir. He's just a child. He knows no better." "Daddy, the king is naked. Why are people cheering? The king is naked. He is naked. Yes, he is naked." "It is all right. Sorry, sir. He is just a child." But everyone had heard, and they all began to laugh, because indeed the king was naked. But all the king could do was walk with his page behind him, showing his magnificence.